Failing to plan is planning to fail. We've heard this expression before, but there is so much truth behind it. If you're not planning your your year for your business, then you're just showing up every day, with a hope and a prayer that things are going to go well. In today's episode, we're going to talk to you not just about the importance of building a plan, but the step-by-step process of actually building a strong future proofing game plan for your salon leading into the coming year. Welcome to the Salon Scoop, a podcast by Salon S.O.S. I'm your host, Scott Moon, the founder of Salon S.O.S., and I'm obsessed with helping salon professionals live their best life. In this show, we shop talk all things salon to bring you real-life stories, debates, entertainment, and inspiration to help you find happiness and success in this beautiful industry. If you work in the salon industry in any capacity, this podcast is open to you. So set down your scissors or rinse out that toner and let's get into it. Hey, everybody. It is a beautiful day and a perfect day to be thinking about the future, right? So often we are just stuck in the now. We're running, we're pedaling, as fast as we can, just trying to keep up with everything. But every now and then, it's so important that we take some time, whether this is in our personal lives or specifically in our business world, we have to take time to plan out our future. It's the best way to set ourselves up for success and to make life easier and better as we move forward. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about strategic planning for your salon company to set you up for the coming year and some step-by-step guides of how to actually run through that process in an effective manner. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, Sarah Perrin. Sarah does it all for us at Salon S.O.S, but is also a service provider in her salon and is also a business owner of her salon, along with a partner. So, Sarah, thanks for being on the show with us today.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. Actually, it's funny that we're having this conversation today because tomorrow I'm having, with my sister and business partner, we're having our, 2025 game plan meeting. So it's a good refresher and a good way for me to head into the meeting tomorrow.
Is this a typical timing for you and your business of when you would be planning for the upcoming year?
Yeah, so we actually we get together quarterly. So what we'll do is kind of, a month or two before year end, we'll kind of come up with the framework like we're going to talk about today, for the entire year. And then we'll get together quarterly as well to kind of finalize things and stuff, because as we're going to get into it, there is only so much you can plan for. But yeah, when we have this meeting, like I say, usually in November, December, a month or so before the beginning of the year, that's when we'll set up like the basic bones and the framework for the entirety of the next year.
Amazing. It's so important, and it's one of the hardest things for people to do. I get it. I live it myself. We can almost never find time. It's always like, I don't have time, and you set yourself, because strategic planning, you need a bulk of time, and you should be setting aside, at the very least, like one full day, if not several, sessions over time. But when you get around to it, it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't, I can't give that much of my day, or I can't take 3 hours right now to do this. Like, I have so many things that I have to do now. We get stuck in the urgency of the moment, and we keep pushing off what's super, super important for our business. And you have to be careful about balancing what's important versus what's urgent. And the reality is that if you do spend the time working in advance on the things that are important for your business, there's less and less urgencies that happen in the future. And you actually do have more time because things are easier to execute. So you really have to think of it as an investment for yourself, for your personal time to do this. So today we're going to try to give you a step-by-step guide as to how to do this effectively for your business. And the first place that you want to start is by setting a a financial target, right? You need to have a sales goal, a revenue goal, a profit goal, right? Because if we don't actually have a goal, then like what are we actually planning for? We're going to plan some promotions. We're going to plan some activities. Like for what? Are we trying to grow by 5%, 10%, 20%? You need to sort of start with that end goal in mind. So you start with a financial goal, but after that, Sarah, what is kind of like the next place that you begin, looking at with your business partner on these planning days when looking at an entire year?
Yeah, I want to go back to what you were saying before. Actually, one of the biggest things that we plan for are these planning days. So it's funny. So instead of it being like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the quarter next week and we don't like, when are we going to fit in 3 hours? Like the entire year, we have all of these meetings planned out. So I feel like that is a really good place to start. Set those meetings, set the full days, set everything like that in your schedule. So there is no excuse to not do the planning. So I'm going to say number one, plan for your planning days. That's a really good place to start. Um,
Nice.
how we usually start things off is we break things down month by month, right? Because it's easy to go back into your records, your books, and everything like that, and see what went well the past year, what didn't go well. So, for example, we'll start off in January. January is typically a slower month after the Christmas rush and the holiday rush in December. So we're aware of that right from the get go, right? So we also know what the weather is like here and what services people are typically looking for and what products people are needing to stock up on. So we just go through month by month and make note of if there's any holidays, if it was a particularly slow month the year or two or three before that kind of thing. So we'll do that first. So then we have a pretty good idea of what's going on January, February, March, all the way through December, right? So we know every February it's Valentine's Day. We're probably going to start thinking about promos for that. We know that, the beginning of summer, end of spring is wedding season. So we're going to start thinking about that. We know that September is back to school, right? So we're just making all of these notes on trends from the past years, as well as just seasonal things that come up every single year. So once you've sat down and kind of figured out that basic framework for every single month, then you can start diving deeper and getting a little bit more specific with your promotion ideas and everything like that. So yeah, that's kind of the phase one of the game planning.
Love it. And I want everybody to sort of think of this as like a funnel process, right? So we're starting at the top of the funnel, which is the big picture stuff. And then we're going to get narrower and narrower in terms of like specific details as we go, right? But you start with that objective. What's the objective? Then, as Sarah just mentioned, categories or themes, right? So like month by month, so you kind of have an outline of what the focus is going to be for different periods throughout the year. Now you can go a little bit further down the funnel and say, great, based on what you just talked about, Sarah, if you know that, February, there's going to be something Valentine's Day, maybe in springtime, people like to sort of like really are inspired to change up their look, maybe change their color. So you're going to be having something around, color theme. And then you talked about, wedding season and, nails out, in the summer, and then back to school. We can start looking at specific promotions, right, that would support each of these themes. And you can look to historical results, right? If you ran promotions last year, what was good, what was bad? You want to be making sure that are tracking the, let's say, success or non-success of each of your promotions during the year, so that when you do these planning sessions, you can look back on it and say, okay, you know what, this is what we did for Valentine's last year, the year before. This is what seemed to work well, not work well. And now you can plan something that is going to, learn from the past and hopefully create something that's going to be that much better this coming year. So now start attaching, right, promotions, product features, right, to each of those themes throughout the year and start building a promotional calendar. Super important. Now you might say, yeah, I get it, but I don't know, the promotions that my distributor or my manufacturer are going to be presenting me. We only know those once 1 month in advance. I get it, but you don't want to be relying, your whole year again and just like hoping that they come to you with like some nice promotions. So build out your calendar with what you want to have and then you can always, sort of make adjustments. And that's why, Sarah, I think you said you do kind of then a yearly, then a quarterly, then a monthly quick meeting to be able to adjust some of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that note too, like we're lucky enough, like our sales rep is absolutely incredible and she'll sit down with us for a lot of these meetings and help us kind of game plan. So not that she knows what the sales are going to be in January through, July or anything like that, but there are the same way that there are trends in terms of like when it's busy in the salon, whatever it is, there are trends in terms of like what types of promotions are happening. So what we'll always do, because again, like you said, it's hard to be like, oh, we're going to do a leader sale in March if leaders aren't on sale at your distributor in March. We don't get that specific. It's more when we're like figuring out these promotions and stuff like that. It's like, well, we know January and February are really dry months. So what we're probably going to focus on are add-on treatments. And then we can adjust accordingly once we know what is on promo or special at the distributor, and we can adjust accordingly. Or again, like we might not be doing 20% off hair treatments because we don't know if hair treatments are going to be on sale at our distributor, but we might do a focus on promoting hair treatments as opposed to discounting, if that makes sense. So I think it's also important to realize that, like, again, promotions don't necessarily mean sales or discounts. They mean promoting something specifically. And then if there is a discount or a sale at your distributor, then you can absolutely incorporate that in too. But again, we're all about more adding value as opposed to discounting. So that's just something important to keep in mind when you're actually creating these promotions. So again, now all of a sudden you've got this framework of, the basic idea, what's happening throughout the year, what your promos are probably going to kind of look like, even if they're not completely set in stone. So then you can kind of start building a basic social media game plan. And again, this doesn't mean that you are, making all the content and getting everything scheduled a year in advance. It just means that you have a basic idea of what you are going to create based on the theme that month or the promotions that month. So then it makes it a lot easier than instead of, February 1st comes around and you're like, I don't know what we're doing this month. Whereas if you have this schedule and this framework, you can be like, well, I know that we wanted to really focus on people getting ready for Feb break and going on vacation. So we're going to, maybe promote our SPF skincare, or maybe we're going to promote spray tans or, heat protection, those types of things. So instead of just being like, now I have to pull this out of thin air, you have a basic theme of what you can go off of to then create like a cohesive month of, social media campaigns. And it not only supports whatever promotions that you've set in place, but again, it's not just this random gathering of all of these different things. You're kind of sticking underneath that theme. So again, like I say, it's not like I don't do this. I do our social media, I do your social media. I don't have 365 pieces of content ready to go by the beginning of the year, but I do have a pretty good idea of what's going on the next month a couple of weeks in advance, so then I can start creating that content. It's cohesive, it makes sense, so that it's ready to go and scheduled for the following month.
And you just used the word cohesive, and I want to emphasize that because it's such a critical part to this entire planning process. Like, one of the reasons why you do that is so that you can have some cohesiveness, some consistency in what you do, right, through all of your activities. So you have the theme, you've got your promotion, and now, Sarah, you're talking about social media. I'm going to take it to the full level of your whole communications plan, because you could look at it and say, okay, great. Now that we know that we're going to be focusing on treatments, in the month of March, let's just say, that's going to be our feature. So we can already, like you said, have a sense of like what type of social media content would be good for treatments, and just kind of like jot that down so that we already have the baseline. We should plan, we can make a calendar for blog articles, and we should have a blog article talking about treatments that month. And we should be thinking about what communication can we send to our clients. Do we do like, email campaigns or text marketing campaigns? And we should make sure that we have at least one that month set up about, the dry hair and treatments and whatnot, and link it to the blog and link it to the social media and link it to the promotion that we're going to have in our salon. That's creating a cohesive plan that's going to actually lead you to stronger success than just trying to come up with it on the fly, and then you forget about things like the blog and emails and social media. You're just kind of doing that day by day. So really, really critical to be thinking about it in advance like this, and just sort of like jotting things down in the plan is going to help you have so much more success with the activities, but it's also going to make it so much easier to execute. So so many advantages.
For
I
sure.
will sort of just say again, you have to be conscious. I get it that things are going to move. This is a dynamic plan. Doesn't mean that you're going to put everything in place and set it in stone for the next 12 months of the year. But having a plan on paper, then it makes it really easy that you could shift stuff around based on new information that comes to you during the year. Sitting with your distributor, sales consultant, or business coach if you use one, whatever the case may be, and adapt. But you're not just winging it every month.
Yeah, I would love to just make like a quick little point too, because at the beginning you were talking about urgency, and that's what we're trying to kind of cut out here is that there isn't this last minute, like, oh my God, I haven't done this yet. So a perfect example of this would be like pre-book specials and promotions, right? If like we always find in our salon, and I don't know why this is, but every October it dips. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's after back to school, people are waiting for holidays. So, like for a pre-book incentive, if you know that, let's say January is always slow or October is always slow, you could start a pre-book incentive or promo 2 months before that. Pre-book your next 3 appointments, and then all of a sudden those appointment spots are getting full instead of making it to October and being like, there's nothing on the books. Well, if you had seen it 2 months before, even though you're like, it doesn't make a ton of sense when it's super busy in the summer to be doing this pre-booking, but you're securing that future appointment, right, for when things do dip a little bit. So again, when you can look at it all laid out for you month by month, it makes it easier to not only just plan for that month, but to be promoting things or running certain specials or whatever it is to ensure that you're also busy in future months as well. So it just, again, it kind of cuts that urgency out and just sets you up for success better, right? So yeah, anyways, we kind
Totally.
of established, yeah.
Yeah, well, I want to say like absolutely that's there. And at this point, having that kind of plan in place, uh, there's one kind of piece that we haven't really touched upon yet that's
Mm.
still an important part of any salon business is your team. And I know Sarah,
Yeah.
you obviously consider putting in place a plan for your team. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that should look like for our listeners?
For sure. Well, for example, if you are doing, bigger promotions or whatever it is, so like even just like team meetings and stuff like that, you can kind of strategically plan those out based on when there is a bigger promotion and when you are going to have to, inform your team of what's going on. You can also then go through if like you've got team events and stuff like that. Like we always do team days. So we like to do those in the spring and the fall. So we can kind of strategically place them and then work around it. And yeah, no, it's a good time again to go through and set up like your one-on-one meetings if that's something that you do or any of these events. And it's also a good time to kind of come up with so typically how we do things in the salon is if we have some type of promotion happening at the front, we also have some type of back end incentive as well. So now that you have all of these months kind of frameworked in and what you're wanting to concentrate on and everything like that, you can kind of spin it so that you then have a team incentive that lines up with that for that month. Again, instead of just getting to that month and being like, damn, I don't know what I should put in place here, right? So again, for the month that we're concentrating on treatments, maybe we have an incentive for our team that whoever has the most add-on treatments gets a treatment of their own for free or whatever it might be, right? So like you said with this funnel, it's kind of the bottom part of the funnel where it's like now you have again your financial your goals, that's at the very top, then your basic framework of what every month should look like, then your promotion ideas and your features and stuff, then your social media game plan, and then right at the bottom is where you can kind of pencil in all of those types of things so that they kind of all marry together, right? So again, there isn't that sense of urgency or that last minute planning. You have, again, your meetings scheduled, you have your incentives planned, you have maybe you're again wanting to do, different bonuses for them. Then you can strategically place those in months when it's always busier and maybe you're a little bit more in the green than you are the red, right? Like you don't want to be putting like a staff bonus on a month where it's absolutely dead and you're kind of setting them up for failure and then also having to pay, something out of money that you don't have, right? So it just is kind of like the cherry on top where you just kind of place everything where it needs to be or whatever, and it kind of wraps it up with a little bow. So you've got a basic idea of what your year looks like.
Okay, so we've given you a really strong framework here to be able to build your plan. I would highly encourage you to, at the very least, go right now, whether you're an individual or you have a business partners, and set some time in the calendar for you to be able to do some planning. That's step one for you to be even able to consider, putting something like this into place. Second thing is really important to be tracking your results on an ongoing basis, right? So that when you're building your promotions for the next year, you can look at the results from last year. And Sarah gave so many examples of how they've noticed trends over the years. You have to be tracking that stuff on a regular basis so that you can look at it as part of your planning stages and learn from the past in order to improve the future. So make sure that you are, tracking results and keeping that available for future discussions. All right. Hope that you can take those actions and take the time, because it's just so critical for your business. I hope that Sarah and I have been able to share the importance, but beyond that, an actual step-by-step framework using that funnel technique to be able to put in place a strong plan that's going to lead you to the success and the results that you want, right, for the coming year. Wish you good luck. If you have any questions, we're always here to support you. Reach out for a free call. We're happy to guide you, answer any questions. That's what we love to do. Supporting the industry by people from the industry. That's what Salon S.O.S is all about. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Have a great day. Share this episode with somebody who can benefit from building a stronger plan for their business.
Thank you so much for listening to the Salon Scoop podcast. This show is produced by Salon S.O.S, a digital marketing agency by industry professionals for industry professionals. If you want simple and affordable solutions for any of your salon marketing needs, such as websites, client loyalty, Google search rankings, social media, or more, come visit us at salonsos.ca or on Instagram at salon.s.o.s. If you want to hear more episodes like this and help us continue to bring the industry great content, it would mean so much to us if you would support us in one of the following ways. Either share this episode with one other industry professional, and rate the show on Spotify or write us a quick review on Apple Music. We want to hear your feedback. If you have follow-up questions or ideas for future episodes, please reach out. DM us on Instagram at salonus.s.o.s or hit us up on our website again at salonsos.ca. Again, thanks so much for listening. Now go get your hustle on, keep smiling, and we'll catch you